Nia had always been the quiet one in her family, the one who helped clean up after every party, who clapped the loudest when her brother Tund won awards, and who never got noticed when she did something good. In their noisy Lagos home, her mother, Joyce, adored Tund like he could do no wrong. Every birthday, the house would be filled with music, laughter, and cake, but never for Nia. So when her 25th birthday came and went with no text, no call, not even a simple, happy birthday, she just smiled like it didn't matter. She posted pictures of other people celebrating online, liked a few posts, and told herself it was fine. But that night, when the city grew quiet and the streetlights painted gold lines on her wall, she sat on her bed and felt something inside her finally give way. It wasn't just sadness, it was the exhaustion of being invisible for too long. She thought about all the times her voice was ignored at home, all the moments she had to be proud of herself because no one else ever was. As tears slipped down her cheeks, she realized this wasn't just another forgotten birthday. It was the moment she decided she'd never wait for their love again. That night, in her small apartment, Nia made a silent promise to herself: if no one else would see her, she'd make sure the world did. That night, when the sadness began to fade, Nia sat up in bed and looked around her small apartment. It wasn't much, but everything in it had come from her hard work. Every late night, every client she had designed logos for, every project she took even when she was exhausted, it all added up. She wiped her tears and told herself she was done waiting for anyone to clap for her. If her family couldn't celebrate her, she would celebrate herself. So, instead of crying, she opened her laptop and looked at her business numbers again. Her small digital design studio, which she had built quietly from her bedroom, had just landed its biggest client ever, a global brand that found her work online and trusted her talent. The deal was worth more than anything she'd ever earned before. For the first time, she saw proof that her dreams were real, not something to laugh at or ignore. The next morning, Nia took a deep breath and did something bold. She walked into a Lexus showroom. The smell of new cars, the soft lights, the quiet hum of success, it all felt surreal. When she saw the matte black Lexus parked at the center of the showroom, she stopped. It was sleek, powerful, and confident, everything she wanted to feel inside. The salesman greeted her with a polite smile, probably thinking she was just there to look. But when Nia said, "I'll take it," his eyes widened. She paid in full. No loans, no help, no one's permission. Just her money, her choice, her reward. When she finally sat in the driver's seat, she felt something shift deep inside her. The soft leather hugged her back, and the name NIA, stitched neatly on the headrest, made her eyes water, not from sadness, but pride. This was more than a car. It was proof. Proof that all those lonely nights working on her laptop meant something. Proof that she didn't need to be seen to be successful. She started the engine, the sound smooth and powerful, and whispered to herself, "Happy birthday, Nia." As she drove through Lagos, the city lights reflected off the car's shiny surface. People turned to look, but for the first time, she didn't care who was watching. She wasn't doing it for attention. She was doing it for the little girl inside her who had always been ignored. The car became her quiet celebration, a gift from the woman she had become to the girl who never stopped trying. When she parked at home that night, she sat for a while before getting out. The silence felt peaceful, not empty. She realized she no longer needed her family's approval or anyone's applause. Her success spoke louder than any compliment ever could. The matte black Lexus wasn't just a car, it was her victory, her freedom, and her reminder that she could build everything she ever wanted, even if no one else believed she could. The day after she bought the car, Nia woke up early. The sunlight spilled through her curtains, warm and golden, and for the first time in years, she felt light. She got dressed, slipped on a white shirt and jeans, and went outside to take a picture with her new Lexus. Nothing fancy, just her standing beside the matte black car, her hand resting on the hood, her smile calm but proud. She didn't hire a photographer or plan an elaborate caption. She simply opened Instagram, uploaded the photo, and typed, "Happy birthday to me. I did this alone. No emojis. No filters. Just truth." She hit post and put her phone away, not expecting much. At first, it was quiet. A few likes from friends, a handful of comments saying, "Congrats," or "You deserve it." But within an hour, her notifications started going crazy. Likes poured in by the hundreds, then thousands. Strangers began sharing her post, calling her the definition of self-love and the girl who made it without family support. People started tagging their friends, saying, "This is the energy we need." By the time the sun set, Nia's name was everywhere. Influencers reposted her photo with long captions about independence. Luxury car pages featured her story. And by morning, she was trending across Africa. Her follower count skyrocketed overnight. Brands slid into her DMs, asking to collaborate. Talk shows wanted to feature her. Journalists reached out, wanting to know more about the Lagos girl who turned pain into power. Nia sat on her couch, staring at her phone in disbelief. It didn't feel real. The same picture she posted out of quiet pride had turned her into an icon of strength. She scrolled through the comments, thousands of women thanking her for inspiring them, for reminding them they didn't need anyone's validation to feel worthy. For the first time, she didn't feel invisible. The world finally saw her. But while she was still trying to process it, her mother's phone started ringing non-stop. Neighbors, church members, even distant relatives were calling to ask, "Joyce, did you see your daughter online? She's trending everywhere." At first, her mother ignored it. Then she opened Facebook and saw Nia's picture shared hundreds of times. The comments were full of praise. "Her story is so powerful. This girl is pure motivation. Her family must be so proud." Proud. The word hit like a slap. Joyce's stomach tightened. Instead of joy, she felt panic. How could Nia be everywhere, without her? Without their family name? She scrolled through the comments, her heart pounding, her jealousy rising with every line. The daughter she had ignored for years was now the face of strength, independence, and grace. Back in her apartment, Nia turned off her phone and smiled quietly to herself. She didn't need to say anything. The world had already said it for her. She had done it, alone. By noon the next day, Nia's phone buzzed with a message that made her laugh out loud. It was from her mother. "Nia, come home immediately. Family meeting. It's urgent." The same woman who couldn't remember her birthday now suddenly had an emergency. Nia looked at the message for a while, half amused, half tired. She already knew what this was about. It wasn't love, it wasn't concern, it was panic. Still, a part of her wanted to face them, not out of anger, but to finally stand as the woman they never believed she could be. That evening, she drove to her parents' house in her new matte black Lexus. As she pulled up, neighbors peeked through their windows. The shiny car reflected the setting sun, and even the security guard's mouth hung open in surprise. Nia stepped out slowly, heels clicking against the pavement, her confidence calm and unshakable. When she walked into the living room, every head turned. Her mother, Joyce, was sitting on the couch, frowning so hard it looked like it hurt. Her father looked unsure, while her brother Tund leaned back in his chair, pretending to scroll on his phone. Joyce was the first to speak, her voice sharp and trembling with fake calm. "Nia, why are people calling me, asking about you showing off online?" Nia didn't answer right away. She simply took a seat, crossed her legs, and looked at her mother with quiet amusement. "Showing off," she finally said. "You mean the picture I posted for my birthday?" Her mother scoffed. "You've embarrassed this family. People are saying you bought an expensive car just to brag. Do you want people to think we raised you to be proud and wasteful?" Tun snorted and added, "I mean, come on, Nia. You buying a Lexus? Did you rent it for the photo?" His tone was teasing, but his eyes were cold. Nia's father tried to speak, but Joyce cut him off, her voice rising. Everyone is calling me, asking questions, making jokes. You're making us look bad. For a few seconds, the room was silent except for the sound of the ceiling fan. Nia looked at them one by one, then slowly reached into her bag. She pulled out a brown envelope and placed it on the table. Inside were the official purchase papers for the Lexus, paid in full, under her name. You don't have to worry about embarrassment, she said softly. It's mine. Paid for with money from the job you said I'd fail at. The silence that followed was heavy. Tund looked away. Her father's shoulders dropped. And Joyce, for the first time, seemed lost for words. Nia leaned back, her voice calm and steady. I didn't post that picture to impress anyone. I posted it because I'm proud of myself. You don't have to understand it. Just know that I did it on my own. The room stayed quiet, filled with shame and disbelief. Nia stood up, ready to leave. She had finally been seen, but this time, on her own terms. The air in the living room was thick, heavy with judgment and fake concern. Nia sat back on the couch, her bag beside her, her face calm even as her mother's voice filled the room. Joyce paced the floor, her hands waving dramatically as she spoke. Do you know how many people have called me today? Do you know how embarrassed I am? Posting luxury cars online like some influencer. Nia, that's not how I raised you. It's unclassy. Her voice shook with anger, but behind it, there was something else, jealousy. Nia didn't move. She just looked at her mother, her eyes steady and unreadable. She reached for the glass of juice on the table and took a slow sip. Across from her, Tund sat with that familiar smirk on his face, the one he always used when he thought he had the upper hand. Let's be honest, Nia, he said casually, leaning back in his chair. You probably just borrowed the car for a photo. You know how people fake things online. His words hung in the air like poison, waiting for a reaction. Nia said nothing. She had learned long ago that silence sometimes speaks louder than shouting. Her father shifted in his seat, looking uncomfortable but too quiet to interfere. Her mother kept talking, her voice rising. You think success means showing off? You think people will respect you for this? No. You're making us look bad. Everyone's laughing behind our backs. You've ruined our family's name. That was when Nia slowly put her glass down and reached for the brown envelope beside her. Her movements were calm, deliberate. The room went quiet as she placed it on the table and slid it toward her mother. You don't have to worry about what people think, she said softly. The car is fully paid for. No loans, no help. All mine. Her mother frowned, confused, until she opened the envelope and saw the car papers. The official documents with Nia's full name on them, stamped and signed. Paid in full. The words were bold and clear. Tund's smirk disappeared. Her father blinked in surprise. Joyce's hands trembled slightly as she put the papers down, unable to find the right words. The same daughter she had ignored, the one she'd once called irresponsible, had done what none of them expected. Nia leaned back again, her tone calm but firm. You told me my business would fail. You said I was wasting time. But this, she said, nodding toward the documents, is what failure looks like now. Her voice wasn't proud or angry, just honest. The silence that followed was deep and uncomfortable. Joyce looked down, her face pale. Tund had no more jokes. Even the ticking clock on the wall seemed louder. Nia picked up her bag, stood up, and looked around one last time. I didn't come here to fight, she said quietly. I just wanted you to see the person you chose not to see. Then she walked toward the door, leaving behind the same people who once made her feel small, only this time, she walked away taller than ever. For a long moment, no one spoke. The silence in the room was heavy, the kind that makes every breath feel loud. Joyce sat frozen, still holding the papers, her lips tight, her pride shaking. Nia could feel years of memories rushing through her mind, birthdays forgotten, report cards ignored, moments when she tried to shine only to be told to move aside for Tund. She looked at her family and felt something shift inside her. For once, she wasn't afraid to speak. You know what's funny, she began quietly. All my life, I've watched you celebrate Tund like he's the only one who mattered. Every achievement he had became a family celebration. Every mistake he made became a lesson we should all forgive. But when it was me, silence. Her voice was calm but steady, each word hitting like a drumbeat. I got good grades, no one clapped. I started my own business, you said it wouldn't last. Even on my birthday, you forgot I existed. Tund shifted uncomfortably in his chair, pretending to look at his phone again. Joyce's eyes flickered, her mouth opening as if to respond, but Nia didn't stop. The words had waited too long. Do you know what it feels like to grow up in a house where love has favorites? Where you're only noticed when someone needs help? I was the backup child, the one who cleaned up after everyone, the one you'd call when you needed something done but never when you wanted to share joy. Her father sighed, rubbing his forehead, guilt clouding his face. Nia looked at him for a moment. And you, she said softly. You watched it happen. You saw how I was treated and said nothing. You thought keeping peace meant staying quiet. But your silence hurt too. He looked up, eyes filled with shame, unable to meet her gaze. She turned to her brother next. And you, Tund, you loved it, didn't you? Being the golden child. You never once stood up for me. You mocked my work, laughed when Mom dismissed me. You thought I'd always stay behind you. Tund finally looked up, but this time, he had no smart comment, no smirk. His face had gone pale. Nia's voice softened, but her words stayed sharp. You all made me feel small for so long. I believed I wasn't enough because that's what you taught me. But now, I see it clearly. The problem was never me, it was the way you chose to see me. The room stayed still. Joyce's eyes glistened, but she said nothing. Her father looked broken, and Tund couldn't even raise his head. The truth hung in the air like smoke, thick, undeniable, impossible to escape. Nia stood up slowly, her hands steady. I'm not saying this to hurt you, she said quietly. I'm saying it because I needed to stop hurting. She looked at each of them one last time. You didn't see me for years. But now, the whole world does. And with that, she turned and walked away, leaving their silence to swallow the truth she had finally set free. The room was quiet, but the silence was louder than any argument could ever be. Nia stood there for a moment, looking at the faces that had once made her feel so small. Her mother sat still, her lips trembling but no words coming out. Her father's eyes were full of guilt, and Tund kept looking at the floor like he wanted to disappear. Nia felt strangely calm, not angry anymore, just free. She had finally said everything that needed to be said. There was nothing left to prove, and for the first time, she realized she didn't need their understanding to feel whole. She took a deep breath and straightened her shoulders. I didn't come here to fight, she said softly, her voice steady but filled with quiet power. I came here so you'd see that I never needed you to see me. Her words hung in the air, sharp and unshakable. For years, she had begged for their attention, tried to earn their love, waited for their approval. But now, she understood something important: sometimes silence is stronger than shouting. Her calmness was her victory. She picked up her bag, her movements slow and graceful, and turned toward the door. Her heels clicked against the tiled floor with a rhythm that sounded like confidence itself. No one tried to stop her. Her mother didn't call her name. Her brother didn't make a joke. Even her father stayed silent, watching her go with regret written across his face. Nia didn't look back. She had spent too many years looking back. When she stepped outside, the evening air felt different, lighter, almost electric. The sky was deep blue, and the streetlights cast a soft glow over her matte black Lexus parked by the curb. It gleamed under the light, polished and perfect, the reflection of everything she had built for herself. For a moment, she stood there just looking at it, smiling. The same house that once made her feel invisible was now her stage of triumph. As she walked toward her car, she noticed a few people across the street, reporters and photographers who had somehow found her address. They were already waiting, cameras flashing as soon as they saw her. "Miss Nia." "Over here," one shouted. Another called out, "How does it feel to be trending all over Africa?" She didn't rush or hide. Instead, she smiled politely, the kind of smile that said she was done being small. She opened the car door, paused for a second, and glanced back at the house one last time. That house had seen her at her lowest, crying alone, feeling forgotten, trying to be enough. But tonight, it watched her drive away as a woman who had finally found her power. The Lexus engine purred softly as she started it, smooth and confident, just like her. As she pulled away, the flash of cameras followed her down the street, but Nia didn't need the attention. She had already won. The silence she once feared had become her strength, and it carried her forward into a future she built on her own. Weeks passed, and Nia's story only grew bigger. What started as one simple birthday post had become a movement. News channels ran features about the girl who made it alone. Talk shows invited her to speak about her journey. Brands reached out, wanting her face on their campaigns. Everywhere she went, people recognized her, not as the forgotten daughter, but as the woman who turned pain into purpose. Her Instagram followers doubled, then tripled. Women from all over Africa filled her messages with stories of how she inspired them to start over, to chase their dreams without waiting for anyone's approval. Nia read every message with gratitude, sometimes smiling, sometimes crying quietly. She had become what she once needed, a reminder that being unseen doesn't mean being unworthy. Meanwhile, her mother tried to rewrite the story. Joyce started telling neighbors she'd always believed in Nia, that she knew her daughter was destined for greatness. But everyone had already heard the real story. They knew this success didn't come from family support, it came from Nia's strength. The truth had spread too far to be changed. One afternoon, Nia sat in a bright studio for an interview. The host smiled and asked, "If your family is watching right now, what would you like to say to them?" Nia thought for a moment, her expression calm and kind. Then she smiled softly and said, "Tell them not to call another family meeting. I'm busy building one of my own." The audience laughed and clapped, but Nia just smiled, peaceful and proud. She had found her place in the world, not by being seen, but by finally seeing her own worth. Her name, her rules, her story, this time, it was all hers.